a journey that is in the body. Through the body, we arrive into connection to the self, so we can return into a system that exists in a state of agency. When agency becomes our guiding force, we operate from a place of self-power, self-love, and self-acceptance. Welcome to the Embodied Woman podcast with me, Rebecca Wilson. An embodied experiential space for you to drop deep into the wealth of wisdom within your being and activate a fuller, richer you. I am a feminine awakener, thought leader, embodied business doula, sacred business midwife, healer, and all-round medicine woman. I am here to guide women deeper into their essence and power, to activate their life force, awaken pleasure, and support them to live an embodied life. I will help you birth your visions, dreams, creations, desires, and sacred business into the world from an easeful, embodied, and rooted place within. My work supports women to become more available for life, love, relationship, connection, creation, pleasure, and wealth. I will activate you into self-leadership and self-mastery to truly live an embodied and awakened life. Welcome on the journey, my love. Hi, love. Welcome back. It's great to have you here. So today we're diving straight on in, reclaiming agency over urgency. This podcast is going to be a journey for you to truly step out of urgency culture and reclaim agency of yourself, your body, and your life. A system and a body that exists in a state of urgency is existing in a state of survival. A system and a body that exists in a state of agency is a system and a body that is rooted in resource. The culture of the society in which we inhabit drives a strong external message and conditioning that is deeply rooted in urgency and survival. We are surrounded by this, my love. It is everywhere. Some of it we're really aware of it. And others, it's so subconscious and subliminal and just woven into multiple facets of life and reality. It shows up in social media. It shows up in boss babe culture. It shows up in driving and forcing ourselves beyond our means moment to moment. It exists in the suppression of the feminine and the true essence and nature of a woman's body. It's cyclical in nature, but it also exists for men and the masculine too. Urgency shows up in our body and nervous system as anxiety, unease, stress, and dysregulation. I don't know about you, but I know for sure that is something that I experience, and many, if not all of my clients speak to me about. A feeling of stress or worry being pulled out of their center in dysregulated states, particularly when relating to these facets of life that are driving these messages into our consciousness. The state of urgency manifests in many different ways, but it impacts our body and our minds, and therefore the quality of our life. As feminine essence beings, it deeply impacts our physiology, our hormones, our cellular energy, our vitality, our cyclical nature. And it then begins to impact how we feel, how we think, the choices that we make, the actions that we take, the lives that we live. And that has a great impact on our health, our wellness, and our fertility. And for a woman, regardless of her age, her choices around childbearing, around conception and birthing, whether that is a full yes, a full no, you're past that, a childbearing years or years of choice. Our fertility is a vital sign of wellness. If we are wrapped up in urgency and therefore deep in survival, our fertility, our hormones, our thyroid, our ability to hold and process stress is massively impacted. And when that is impacted that deep on a cellular level, it impacts everything within our life and our reality. How we show up in work, with our children, in relationship, with ourselves. The state of urgency manifests in many, many different ways. It can cause you to feel ungrounded, nervous, frozen, in fawn, collapse. And this can manifest inability to sleep or rest well, a feeling of constantly being on edge, this kind of feeling in the body of something bad is going to happen, or I need to get back to this and I should be doing all of these things. That inability to deeply rest and sleep well. You can experience poor digestion, hormonal imbalances, irregular menstrual cycles, lack of ovulation, extended cycles, lack of bleed, painful periods. It can also manifest in aches and pains in the body, which could be emotional and then physical. It can manifest as skin issues, acne, psoriasis. It can also manifest as inflammation in the body. All of these signs are signs that the body is living in this state of survival. It's in a state of stress. Now, you might resonate with this. You might be thinking, yeah, I'm experiencing that too. Another way that it can show up is it can also impact our relational experiences. We can often rest in places of conflict within ourselves and also our external relationships too. Particularly when we're rooted in this urgency, we lack an ability to be present. Just like when we're in a state of survival, we're not really needing to be super present, open and responsive to life. We're very much needing to be reactive because we're running from threat or danger. But in order to cultivate healthy and meaningful relationship with self and with other, with your work, your career, your creative, there's a level of presence that is required for those relational experiences to mature and evolve. So the journey of traversing the path from urgency to agency is deeply rooted in the body. It is a journey of unraveling the beliefs, stories, narratives, and identities that we have conceived, that we carry from our own life experience, from the life experiences of those around us, from culture, from society, the imprints that have been passed down through our family lineage, and so on. They all exist within us, and they're informing our nervous system constantly of the states in which we inhabit. Reactive states, states of urgency, of survival, fight and flight, or freeze, fawn, and shut down, are all states of dysregulation and a state of lacking resource. But as we begin to unravel these beliefs and narratives and stories that we've conceived or carried or been imprinted upon along the way through life, we begin this journey of release, of unravel. And that begins in the body, in the nervous system. And we do that through embodied somatic healing practices, practices that support rest, relaxation, resource, connection, and grounding in the body. Practices that support the vagus nerve and vagal tone, breathing practices that cultivate a felt sense of calm and peace in the system. And these are all ways in which we're able to unwind this tightly woven tapestry of urgency and survival within. We begin to release threads from our bodies. I always imagine the feeling of urgency as like a tight bound up ball of yarn, or like a big ball of thread that's got all knotted in the back of a drawer somewhere. And we're like trying to pull at all these different parts and we can't quite find the end and how to unravel it. But over time, with gentle teasing and moving and opening and unraveling, greater space arrives in this tightly woven ball of yarn. And we're able to arrive in a more kind of rested and digested state if that ball of yarn was, in fact, our body and our nervous system. And through that, we begin to release the threads that we have hooked into the external world and the external conditions that we're carrying that we might not even know we have. We release the pressure of society. We're so deeply pressured by societal expectations, more than I believe that we can even begin to think of and imagine. So we begin to release them, the energetic threads that bind us to these external pressures, thrive for us to be in a state of urgency. The world wants everything to happen yesterday. This is the fast-paced reality or world in which we are living in. But we do not have to participate in that energy, especially at the detriment of our own health and physical and mental and emotional well-being. This is where a place of sovereignty, it truly opens and arrives within us, where we get to choose something different. And I know it can be so tough because the rest of the world is still operating in that energy. Maybe your friends or your partner or your family members, they're all still in urgency. They've pressed the go button and they haven't pressed stop. They're heading on a pathway towards burnout, adrenal fatigue, emotional overload, if they've not already arrived there. And maybe you can resonate with that being you too. Maybe that's the pathway that you're walking on. To try and unhook from that is a real conscious act of self-care. It is a deeply loving act to unravel ourselves from these societal expectations. And when we do, we walk a path and a journey that has us arriving back home in connection to ourselves and our bodies. And it's through that connection we can begin to reorient our awareness into the felt experience of being truly present within. We can reorient ourselves and our awareness to the felt experience of resource and how it feels to be able to truly rest and relax in relationship inside our own body and being. This is the space where safety and stability are cultivated. It is a space where we arrive into this feeling of groundedness. And it is through walking this journey that we evoke a transformation from embodied urgency to embodied agency. When agency becomes our anchor point, our solid ground within our own self, we begin to operate and relate with life and other people from a place of sovereignty and self-power. Here, self-leadership and self-responsibility are born because we awaken to the truth that we are responsible for our choices. As an adult, that is true. And we are responsible for hooking into urgency or releasing and tapping into agency. That choice is ours. If we are operating from a place of urgency, yet speaking from the high hilltops that we want to be rescued from there, we're living in victim. Sovereignty, self-leadership, and self-responsibility do not live there. And neither does being deeply embodied and resourced. But when we recognize where we are in that state of urgency, and we make the choices to unravel from that and step into agency by cultivating somatic awareness of our body, our nervous system, our feelings and emotions, the felt senses and signs of our system when we are becoming dysregulated or disembodied, and leaning upon the tools and practices that we've cultivated, that we know, support us to rest, digest, unwind a little, create some space within so that we can step into agency and out of urgency. And this isn't a one-time thing. This is a sweet dance that we get to learn and perfect the steps of over and over again. And when we do, we arrive into this place where we experience life from aligned action. And this is an action that's born from a place of regulation, and it's rooted in resource in the body and the nervous system. Agency, or stepping out of urgency, isn't about inaction. It isn't about inertia. It isn't about being completely still and not being in action or doing anything, because that's the opposite of what it is and therefore the same. It is about finding that sweet place in the middle where we are rooted and resourced enough to take action that is aligned and from a place of fullness rather than lack or emptiness, because urgency hooks into the energy inside us all, or the wound that lives in us all, of I am not enough. I am not worthy. I need to keep on doing more and more and more, and it's an urgent matter. Agency does not need to touch that wound or that shadow or that part of our psyche, because agency is rooted in I am enough and I am worthy. And what I create today, do today, is perfect and enough. And there's always tomorrow. And that is where we're able to birth aligned action from. We begin to deepen into our body and cultivate a system that has capacity to move with these ebbs and flows and dance the sweet dance of life, to learn and to know when to take action, when action is truly needed, and also know when to be able to take a pause, take a breath, breathe some space into our experience, our emotions, our feelings, our choices, our day-to-day life, and just for a moment be, because then the choice of agency is born from there. And this is the journey of reclaiming agency over urgency, a journey that is in the body. Through the body, we arrive into connection to the self, so we can return into a system that exists in a state of agency. When agency becomes our guiding force, we operate from a place of self-power, self-love, and self-acceptance. Our actions are aligned with our capacity. We have clarity in heart and mind, thought, word, and action. Our nervous system is regulated and resourced. And in those moments where we move out of regulation and into dysregulation, we are rooted and resourced enough to find our way back into the middle. And here we are able to gracefully adapt to the ebbs and flows and dance that sweet dance of life. And this is how we traverse the path from reaction to response. So, my love, a journey of traversing the path from reaction to response. It ends and begins and is born again through the body. Are you a woman that's ready to make the shift from urgency to agency in your life? Are you ready to move from reaction to response and embrace your true essence, awaken vitality and radiance? If you are saying yes, 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 I welcome you to join me and a group of powerful women who are walking the steps on their own path towards self-leadership, sovereignty, resource, and self-responsibility. We welcome you to join us in the Embodied Woman Group Immersion, a sacred circle of women on a journey of embodiment, restoration, nourishment, holding, and somatic awareness. This mentorship will guide you into a cellular understanding of somatic healing, feminine health, fertility, feminine restoration, nourishment, resourcing, metabolic living, remineralization, womb awakening, embodiment, self-honoring practices, and cellular integration. Within this mentorship, we will also explore a hair mineral testing, embodied living, cellular reorganization, remineralization, and the root cause protocol, so that you are able to metabolize the experiences of the past life, move through any holdings, blocks, aches, or pains that have been deeply embedded within your body and your cells, to awaken your body through somatic awareness and sensation, and to land into deeper resource, become rooted within, cultivate sovereignty, agency, self-power, and awaken into deeper receptivity with life. This is a journey for the woman who is ready to change her life, for the woman who desires to move from survival to thriving, depleted to nourished, burnt out to energetic cellular abundance, disembodied to embodied, undernourished to nourished, ungrounded to deeply grounded within. There are limited places for this mentorship, as it is going to be, as always, a deep and powerful journey. If you're feeling a yes, the details are linked in the show notes. Click the link. It'll take you to the landing page where you'll be able to read more, and also press the button to be able to apply to join us in this circle. If this episode has touched something in you, you can find me on Instagram. That is also linked in the show notes. I love to hear from you and to hear what has been moving and what has awoken within. And if you also feel like this would resonate with somebody that's in your world or your life, I invite you to share it far and wide. Share it with your sisters, your friends, your family members, so that we can all begin to deeply awaken into agency over ourselves. Thanks for being here, my love. Have a beautiful day. Thank you for joining me on this journey today. If you loved this musing and sharing, I would love for you to share this episode far and wide. You can arrive into all of my offerings at rebecca-wilson.com. Links to dive deeper with me are in the episode notes. Remember, my love, you are here to be the fullest, most potent, powerful, embodied version of you. I am here to guide you into that. Hey love, I'm dropping in here to welcome you to join us in our online community membership, The Village. I created this space for women to gather, to return to themselves, to deepen the connection and the relationship with self, whilst held in a community of like-minded women walking the journey and the path of their own awakening.